to make my contribution to the discussions on this 2019 budget proposed by the Honorable Minister Winston Jordan. I commence by stating that the core aspects include nothing but gaff, fluff, and bluff. It is nothing but an abortion budget without real developmental purpose, which came over as erratic and unsound, even as it was read by the Honorable Minister. It will do nothing to unburden the significant loads placed on the backs of citizens with which the coalition government budgets and policies have impregnated our country. This is the 5th budget of sequel series on the hopeful good life, which is now bordering on comedy and entertainment. By now, from the Saitakian race. By now, we are all aware that this coalition government will not achieve any good life for citizens in general during its tenure of office. None. In 2015, the government began with a budget which had a theme, a fresh approach to good life in a green economy. In Budget 2016, there was stimulating growth, restoring confidence, the good life beacons. With Budget 2017, the target was building a diversified green economy, delivering the good life to all Guyanese. For Budget 2018, the government was continuing the journey to a good life. And this 2019 budget, the Honorable Minister will be transforming the economy, empowering people, building sustainable communities for the good life. Mr. Speaker, with each budget, the government collected more taxes and borrowed more to fill the budget deficits. At the same time, unemployment has increased, and the majority of citizens are now worse off than they were in May 2015. This budget advocates increasing the aggregate tax collection by close to 10%, while anticipating growth of 4.6%. It simply means that the government will extract much of the difference from the people one way or the other by more taxes. The Honorable Minister should not use the term good life. No, he has failed in 4, and he's bound to fail with the 5th time. Mr. Speaker, this budget came out immediately after the APNU and the disappointing, not the disappointing, the disappearing AFC suffered 2 humiliating defeats at the polls in 2 consecutive local government elections. You and my colleagues on the other side of this Honorable House are aware that the leader of the opposition moved a no-confidence motion against the coalition government. This was after his party swept the local government polls, further giving a serious allegations of corruption by this APNU AFC government. We, on this side of the House, with 61% majority at the local government polls, call on the APNU AFC to bring on the no-confidence motion and introduce the debate. And further, call on them to bring forward the PPC election petition now. We wish to know where the 33 false statement of polls came from. Bring it on. Bring it on. Boom out. You got to go and boom at the park. Go to the car park. Go to the car park and bear. Mr. Speaker, you hear this? Mr. Speaker, regarding the transforming of the economy, addressing this budget theme, I wish to state that this government has destroyed the sugar industry. It's killing the rice industry. Bauxite is on the serious decline. Forestry and mining also sliding because of APNU AFC inability to manage these sectors, along with the nasty political interference that we are getting from some booming people. What is the transformation of our economy that the Honourable Minister and his government are to be held responsible for. The only visible transformation we are seeing include the return of the dark days for democracy, dark days of economic mismanagement, dark days of procurement, particularly in the health sector, dark days for good governance, dark days for electoral tendency towards rigging, dark days for hiding 18 million oil revenues along with the other oil blocks, dark days for increased taxes, more than 200 imposed, dark days for killing public officials, removal of many subsidies, including the one of incentive payment to the police and military, dark days of political persecution of public professionals and degradation of top opposition officials. Mr. Speaker, empowering people, building sustainable communities, as the dreams will truly become a reality only when the PPPC returns to government in 2020. It has become increasingly harder for a person to own their own homes under this administration. The honourable members of the other side of this House cannot deny that prior to 1992, very few citizens got affordable land for residential purposes. Consequently, many persons was the subject of unusually hard, degrading, and non-empowering rental conditions. The PNC oversaw these conditions for decades with comfort, so much so that they have now become akin to the rental syndrome. The government continues to pay hundreds of millions in rent for drugs ban and hotel rooms to store drugs, the value of which is less than 100 the value of the rent. Shame on this man, this can't work. The government has moved to prosecute former Minister of Housing, the Honourable Irfan Ali, for the sale of 19 house lots. The PPC government under the Honourable Ali's watch allocated to citizens of all ethnic persuasions over 40,000 of the 100,000 plus governmental subsidized house lots to build homes. Mr. Speaker, these citizens build thousands of homes across the country annually, compared to the 250 units this administration have been constructing since 2018 budget. This must be a joke. Must be a joke. With all the monies allocated, the Honourable Minister spoke about 163 complete units, and the ministry handing over a mere 43%, keys to 43%. This is another joke. We all know that this is more than insufficient. We challenge them because of the recent statement by the top member of that party. We want to see the names of those 43 people, and then you will know where the racists are. Bring it on, let's see. The lack of job opportunities has forced many of our youth into a crime of culture, and the Minister Ramjatan accepts this. He said he don't know what to do. No wonder the government is expending billions of taxpayer dollars to build prisons. Realistically, it is a non-win situation, and a remedy other than lockup has to be the long-term strategy addressed in our budget. As for sports and recreation facilities, we are fortunate that the PPC built some world-class facilities. It is disappointing that today these facilities are becoming white elephants. Mr. Speaker, the Guyana National Stadium at Providence, the National Aquatic Center, the synthetic track and field facility at Lenora, the Rocket Center, along with the prestigious National Sports Resource Center, and several facilities that the PP built are today virtually becoming white elephants. Gone are the days, gone are the Inter-Ghana Games, IGG. Those games were reintroduced by the PPC government to give our very young athletes and students valuable exposure in competitive sport at the international level. The APNU AFC destroys the IGG, and today's sport is dying in our country. Look at my colleague here, Mrs. Pearson. Her cousin was humiliated, was elected win the position to come to the school athletics national championship, and because he's a son of indigenous people, he was denied the opportunity. She made call to the two ministers and the vice president, and they continue with this discrimination. It was just surprising when I heard what the honorable minister said, how they're going to become discriminatory. This must stop in our country, comrade. We must not discriminate. Guyana belongs to all of us. We did not discriminate when we were in government. As for the community centers and play fields around the country, all we can see now is high grass and bushes. And the facilities are now a haven for snakes and insects. Mr. Speaker, I challenge this government to tell us how many new industries and new jobs they have created over the last 4 years. It is clear that the main goal of the APNU-AFC coalition government is to fool our people and promote paramountcy of the PNC party. The PPPC will return to government to build a better Guyana where all our people will enjoy and live a genuinely good life. Mr. Speaker, as geographical MP in region number 4, I am seriously concerned with the lack of development in this region. Regarding the capital city, Georgetown, the PNC has been in control of the municipal council for decades. Fair-minded persons will not deny that the only period that showed any real accountability and genuine development was the period when the PPPC had an interim council with men and women of substance. Today, all people could talk about Georgetown is stroke and rob, and the thieving and the bandits in the city. Yes. Mr. Speaker, the now famous drug ban matter, which was seduced by a PNC supporter, reflects the treatment of health matters by the coalition. Unfortunately, my villager and good friend, Dr. George Norton, was a victim, and he was removed as the Minister of Health to make way for a sadder state of affairs. However, the residents are really suffering, as there are often no drugs reported in the operating locations. The health catering system in region number 4 is all in shambles and becoming liabilities to the communities. Further, this coalition government is building a health center at Eccles with money that was made available by the PP since 2014. 4 years and more, and the health center at Eccles is incomplete and virtually functions as a dump yard for garbage and animals to feed. As for the health center at Supply, it is going green with a humongous tree root still growing in the building. Mr. Speaker, there are but a few goodies being offered in this budget, as the government is jerked into realization that the citizens really matter. I will recognize that the Commissioner General, Mr. Sesha from GRA, has moved to reduce the burdensome $5,000 tin certificate replacement fee that was objected to since 2017. Many great initiatives like this will help to improve the way we do business. But the burdensome fee should have never been there in the first place. There is need for a change in the whole trajectory of the government business, and as they try to abort some of their brutally imposed policies, they may find that the load created by them is already too great. Mr. Speaker, among the many serious priorities of prominence are the initial hiding of the non-payment of the US 18 million Exxon sign-in bonus into the consolidated fund.
You have 5 minutes remaining.
I'll stick to my time, Mr. Speaker. There's still to be finalized accounts of the Durban Park fiasco and the exploitation of the country's gold and foreign reserves, coupled with the loss of thousands of jobs, this dissemination of the sugar sector, massive increases in the cost of living, the imposition of real hardship on the Guyanese people via government policies, such as the 60 billion increase in taxes measures. The abuse of power in the eyes of the threatened and hungry has no color. Guyanese cannot support this budget, which has nothing for young people and which only have more and more taxes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.